So
not
let me,
just limited to U.S.
you know, Bill, we hear the term the deep state tossed around a lot. What is the most precise definition of the deep state that you could give me?
Well, I would just say it's the non-elected bureaucrats in place running all the agencies of the government and everybody they're affiliated and associated with and making contracts with.
That's the and they know, because I've heard them say this on television in unguarded moments, that they're more powerful and important than the president, because presidents come and go, and the people who work at the CIA and the FBI and the NSA are there for 30 years
or more. Yeah.
or more, right?
Some 40. I think some have been there
Yeah.
for like 40, 49 years. Wasn't that Senator Byrd from West Virginia? Wasn't he there? He died in place at the age of 93 or something like that.
Yeah. So, well, how does the and so they tried to plant evidence on you. They tried to frame you because you were telling the truth about their unconstitutional and criminal behavior. What are some of the other ways that the deep state, the permanent bureaucrats that work in our intelligence agencies, what are some of the ways they control people?
Let's take some foreigners in case of point. And I'll do some people inside the U.S. But for princes in the Arab countries, if they go on the web and look at pornography, that's a no-no in their country, and that gives them leverage against them. But also, for example, Elliot Spitzer, who was going after the bankers for defrauding people after the 2008 financial crisis, because they defrauded. They had fraudulent solicitations for these packaged mortgage deals.
Right.
And so they fraudulently solicited people to buy them,
right,
and other banks to invest in them, and people lost their 401ks and so on in this. So, but as a result of that, they went into the database that they'd collected on him, everything that he ever did, and they found his connections with a prostitute, I think it was.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yes.
And then they got rid of him, and so that protected their bankers, right? And so then some of the people who got out of working for the government and put up a cybersecurity consulting firm and solicited $1 million a month for their consulting, and everybody poo-pooed that. Nobody's worth $1 million, so they reduced it to $600,000 a month. And they got customers. Now, who were their first customers? The bankers on Wall Street, So, hey, does this look fishy or smelly or what? It really does.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing to see the governor of New York is going after the bankers, and then they use this spying power to catch him meeting with a prostitute. And it's just amazing that he wasn't able to win that in court, because that was illegal, the way they used it, the way they went after him, the way they caught him. Anyway.
Yeah, but they get around that by doing what's called a parallel construction.
Yes. So tell people, this is very important. I want you to tell. Yeah. So what people are, what the government is doing is they'll illegally spy on you, and then they'll catch you doing something criminal. But they know the way they caught you was criminal and unconstitutional. They still take that information, they still send it to the police, and the police then still prosecute you. But go ahead, but they have to do what?
And then what they have to do, because that evidence is not admissible in a court of law because it wasn't acquired with a warrant.
Right.
So then they have to send their people out to do a standard procedure investigation, looking for the same evidence. Right. And of course, it's easy, can say know where it is. They can go find it fairly easily. And then they substitute that in the court of law, saying this is our basis of arresting them in the first place. And that's perjury. It's also fabricating false evidence for the court. Any number of obstruction of justice and all of that, and any number of other crimes. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't think of them all, but certainly those are the prominent ones that come to mind to me.
This is not only true, what you're saying, that they do this. Yep. This has been reported on MSNBC before Trump was president by Rachel Maddow. She covered this story about parallel construction, which is where I first heard about it. And they were doing it with people who were caught doing drug deals. And so they would call the local police and say, hey, we got these guys are going to do a drug deal tomorrow at midnight. Here it is. Go find out the evidence yourself. Go find it another way, but here's what's happening. And that's illegal.
Yep. I first ran across that with a Reuters report in August of 2013. And they interviewed one of the federal agents involved in the program. And he said, "This is such a valuable program. I just hope we can keep it secret."
Ah,
You know?
yes. Well, you know, in the first interview I did with you, or you did on the show, you quoted Goethe. Can you spell it?
Geotha. I think that's it. Something like that.
Goethe. Goethe. Very good. Very good. Very good.
I transposed two letters.
Yes, that you did. Listen, Is there anything I forgot to ask you that you wish I would have asked you?
Well, I mean, this is the extension of it, as what I alluded to earlier, is that for us, I mean, we're trying to actively, my wife and I are trying to actively work against the government to find out what they're doing in terms of directed energy weapons and things of that nature, how they're using them and testing them on just general people in the population. So we're trying to gather scientific evidence to prove what's going on, and we have some good evidence so far. So, and also some other things we're going to be trying. I don't want to tell you what that is because then the government will get wise, and kind of not do it or try to mask it or something. So we're still working on that, and we're going to be putting in motions and affidavits and injunctions to try to stop it.
What are the effects of these direct energy? They have direct energy machines or something. What are the effects of them?
Well, it's like implants that they can stimulate from a distance. Some of it we think is coming from a drone, okay? Because we have some evidence that would imply that's occurring, and we'll produce that in an injunction when we send it to the court. But it seems that they can do that. They can also some of the other things are direct energy weapons that burn people, has been. I mean, this is long. This is not new technology. This goes back to the 70s and 80s when the Russians did it with our embassy in Moscow. It was used, I think, in the Cuban embassy at all. So it's nothing new. I mean, this is simply the older technology that they're working on much more sophisticated stuff now, and it's like even using brain computer interfaces and how that can happen and how you can reverse that to have the computer feed the brain as opposed to the brain feed the computer. So, those kinds of things are being developed now too. And I think there's over 100 patents in terms of different energy type weapons and chip type technology, things of that nature. So, I mean, this has not been really investigated by anybody to any great degree or extent at all, and it should be, because you cannot trust these people. That down through we've got the historical record of what governments have done with the technologies as they were developing them. They were using them on people unwittingly. People didn't know what was happening. And they were testing them just in the public domain. And nobody would know what was happening to them,
Where can I go read about that?
I can send you some links, and maybe you could post them.
Yeah.
That would lay out the kinds of things down through history, not just the criminal activity they did, like Amadeus, Pegasus, and Watchtower, the programs where CIA used to import cocaine into this and sell it on the streets of the country to get money to buy guns for the Contras or do any other black programs. And you might want to look at this one. This is that global brain chip and misogynist. It's a book by Dr. Hildegard Staniger.
Wow. Okay. Global brain chip.
This would be a start. And we've got some other articles that I can send you the links, Jimmy, and you could look at them, because it shows what our government as well as other governments have done down through history.
Yeah.
To test the technologies on their own people.
Yeah. Please send me those links. I would love to. Yeah, I know if people knew what their government was actually doing, they would go nuts.
Yeah, that's right.
But again, sometimes when you tell them what they're doing, they don't. Like, hey, they're spying on you. You live in a surveillance state. People are like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, I know.
It's just so weird. So
Yeah,
weird.
but some of these other things are quite a bit nastier than just spying.
Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.